I've missed y'all, so I'm going to get right into this. I'm going to show you a couple of things, and we're going to make something out of them. I have these two items. This is just a piece of walnut. I cut this on my bandsaw, and then this is crushed turquoise. What I'm going to do is, if you could see here, there is an outline of a cross right here. We're going to go ahead and cut that out. We're going to put another cross inside here that is deeper, which I'm going to go ahead and use a rotary tool to cut a shape into that. And then I'm going to fill it with epoxy and these crushed stones. And then we're going to polish it up really good. And we're going to have us a cross. This thing's 4 inches by 2 inches wide. I'm going to first, before I cut this out, I want to make a couple of more crosses on this so I can get as many out of that board as I can. So let me get that all drawn in place and we'll go to cutting. So what I've done is I've cut this one out. I wanted to make sure that I got some of the spalting over here on this walnut. So what I've done, like I said, cut it out, and then I can decide which side I like, where I want to put my markings. That's pretty cool. I do like this spalting on this side. So we'll see. But the biggest reason I cut this out is I wanted a template so that I can make some more and get as many out of this chunk of wood as I can get out. By doing it this way, I'm able to get in here. Now, I don't want to go up here like this. I could, but then I'm going to have this little edge here, and this is rounded over here, and I don't know that I want that. I could check it out over here, but I don't like that at all. So I'm going to just do this, and I'll put this one here, and then I'll flip it around and put it over here. So I should get a good 3 out of here, maybe 4. We'll see. I'm hoping we can see this. I was able to get, that's the wrong side. You're not going to see anything on that one. I was able to cut or to draw 3 more crosses on here. Now, one of these, this one over here by my thumb, that one is right on the edge, but the back side of that isn't nearly as bad. It doesn't have as much of the live edge on it. And if you're going for a live edge, that's great. You just go ahead and do that. It'll look good as with a live edge, but that's not what I'm going for. That's not the look I want. I want a little bit of a different look, and you'll see that once we're done. So let me go ahead and get these cut out, and then we'll come back and take a look at what I'm doing. I now have 4 of these crosses cut out, and I'm happy with that. However, they are too thick. I do want these to be thinner. I can get 2 out of this, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to go ahead and measure what the thickness of them are, and it looks like they are just a little bit over 5/8. Okay, so I just measured these. They are 11/16 of an inch wide. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out the halfway point, and I'm going to rip these right down the center to give me 2 of these crosses. I have 4 here. I'm going to have 8 total. And then I'll get started with a little bit of sanding and that design that I want to put in to the center of it. So be right back. All right, so that was pretty easy. I got those cut down pretty quick, pretty simple on the bandsaw. Just ripped them down the middle, and now I've got 2. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. I've got one of these little mini sanders here. It's a little belt sander, and it does a nice little job. I'm going to take these and I'm going to sand, just kind of get them smoothed out with this. And this is a good tool for these small pieces, because then I can get in and I can get these edges like this, where you typically can't reach with other tools. This one will do the trick really nicely to fit in here, give me nice edges on that. And then what I'm going to do is I will find the side of these that I like the best, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a round to it so that what we see here is a little bit of an arch in this going like this. It's going to be the opposite. If you saw my video on how to do the comfort crosses, where you have the dip down into it for your thumb, these are bigger, like these are 4 by 2, 4 inches by 2 inches, and I want the arch in the other way. It just gives it a really cool look. And then these things are just tiny. They can just sit on a shelf, or you can hang them, or you can put them from the mirror on your car, which a lot of people are doing with these things. So I'm going to go ahead and get sanding. Super happy with these. You can see that I've kind of rounded over, or just gave it a little bit of an arch. There isn't much, just a little is all it is. I picked the side I thought would look the best. All right, so I'll be taking that, and that is the crushed turquoise chips. And what we're going to do is I'm going to be taking one of these, and I'm going to take my Dremel, and I don't know why we're not going to focus there. Okay, so I'm going to take my Dremel, and I'm going to cut another cross right here, like so. And I'm going to dig this a little bit deeper, a little wide, maybe a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch wide. And then I'm going to fill it with this and some epoxy and get that in there. Once that's all hardened, then I can go ahead and I'm going to sand this super smooth so it's nice and soft to the touch, and looks really good, and it'll be complete. I'm not sure what the finish is going to be yet. I don't know if I want to use the epoxy as the finish, but I'm not sure. I just don't know yet. I'm going to go ahead and try this bit right here. You're going to see the results as I see them. We'll see how this thing goes right here. I'm going to go ahead and use this bit. I'm going to go at an angle first, and then I'm going to go straight in so that I get this width here, and it gives it a nice flat bottom for me to add the rock to. Okay, so I'm not concerned how that bottom looks. It's quite all right, because that's going to be covered by the little stone chips. So now I just need to get that in there with some epoxy, and I'm going to try a couple of different things. I've got some Total Boat thin set epoxy that I'm going to probably try, but I also have the 2-part epoxy glue, and it does dry clear. So I'm going to probably give that a shot first, just to see how that looks. If that looks good, because it's thicker, it sets faster. I don't have to wait until it's overnight. I can, within 5 minutes, it's ready, give or take. But at least I can get some of these done and see how these things look. Well, I have zero idea how this is going to turn out. I've got some quick-set JB Weld. It's epoxy. It does dry pretty clear. It says 5 minutes. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up. Just need a tiny bit of this stuff, but I always seem to make too much. I think everybody does that. Let's go ahead and get this in here. Get my equal parts, and then I've got to figure out, because I just lost the cap to this one. cap has been located, so life is good. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to get this all mixed up. And you really want to get this completely stirred together. And what I'm using, I have a bunch of reclaimed lumber that I get, fence posts, pallet wood, that sort of stuff. And when I take the nails out, I save them. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I guess we all have our little fun little things we like to do that is weird. Oops, sorry, foot pedal. And what I do is I save these little nails and I use them for stirring sticks. I also will cut the end off of them, the flat end, and use that as handles on my bandsaw boxes. Just some ideas for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in as a base to hold all of that little stone that I'm going to throw in here. I'm going to probably need to mix up a little more. I actually did okay this time. Didn't mix way too much, but so I want to get that in there so that it's in place, and then I'll mix up a little bit more to put over top of it so that it's sealed right in there. All right, so I'm going to take some of this, I'm going to put some in the lid so I don't have too much and I'm not spilling out too much here. So let's take this and we'll put it right in there. All right, pretty happy with that. Kind of just get that spread around, get it in there. I'll try to save this. Not that this stuff's expensive. I think I spent $9, $10 for this little container. It's not a lot. There just really isn't a lot there, but I'm not using a lot. And if all goes well, just so anybody knows, if you haven't already looked these things up, I looked these up on Etsy, and they're selling, I saw one for $99. I highly doubt I'm going to get $99 for this. It's one thing I don't like about it when you see these things that say, hey, make all this profit. I just don't ever see that happening, at least not where I am. Try to be a little more careful on how I word my videos, I think. Let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this right on top. Just let it, I don't care if it bubbles over, if it's bulging out like that, I'm okay with that. Because what I'll do is I'll sand this all down once everything's in place and dry. Pretty happy with that. Hopefully you guys can see it. There we go. I have it in there. It's pretty deep in there. It's deep enough. Some of it is sticking up above, but that's all right. We'll go ahead, and once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and sand this down, and I may need to add more epoxy to it. I'm not sure yet, but I want to see how this looks. If this looks the way I expect it to, and it looks okay, this is the method I'm going to use to do the rest of those. If not, we're going to see one where I get some thin pour epoxy and put it in with that to see if that holds it any better, or if it's any more clear, if it has that nice crystal look that we know so well from epoxy. So let's let this thing dry and then we'll sand it down, see how it looks. Hold on, we're going to stop. I'm starting over. Number one, it's kind of cold out here and I've got heat in this garage, but it's not enough. It gets up to about 60 or so in the garage with the heaters I've got. This is what happened here. I tried to start sanding this, but then it wasn't tacky when I touched it, but as soon as I put the sandpaper on it, it got into this gooey mess. So I'm going to say that the epoxy did not set up properly. Did I mix it wrong? maybe, but I've done that enough times that it didn't. I think it was the cold. I just think the cold didn't allow this to set up. And this is the next day. This is 24 hours later that this is doing this. So I'm doing it differently. I'm going to use CA glue. I'm going to put this in just a little bit in there, get it all set up, and get it so it's just at the top. I don't want it to go over. Less to sand. I mean, it can go over. We can just sand it down if we need to, but it'll make it a lot easier if I just get it all in there to begin with. I'm doing my best to keep it level with the top and fill in the entire thing, which I think I'm doing all right here. This stuff moves around pretty easily. It's like sand is really all it's like. Maybe a little more granular than that, but still, it's like just a coarse sand that I'm putting in here. It's not coarse sand that I'm putting in here. It's actually crushed turquoise, but you get the drift. So if I do this, I think I'm all right here. I don't want it to go over. I don't want it rounded or above the top of the wood lines that I've cut here. I'd rather it stay below. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's put a little bit of CA down in there to hold this thing into place. It would probably be better if I had a thinner CA that would soak down in there, but I don't have that. So I'm going to pretend that this will work, and we'll see what happens in the end. Let's take this blade. I'm going to have to replace it because it's going to be full of CA glue, but that's all right. If I can get this down in here with a blade, I'll be very happy. This flat edge helps me kind of scrape this even, and it looks like, because this was below, these rocks were well below the surface, and now they seem to have come up some, and I'm guessing, obviously, displacement from the glue. It's going to be my guess. Kind of wiping off my blade just a little bit onto this craft paper. I'm not sure if any of you have seen some of the videos out there of the best tools to buy on Harbor Freight, but I've been kind of stuck on that little thing for a while. Don't know why. It just popped up in my feed. I started watching and now I'm hooked. One of the tools that I bought from Harbor Freight per that suggestion, and that's not really even a tool. You're just sitting here staring at it right now, and no, it is not this little X-Acto blade, nor is it the rocks. It is the brown paper. I think this paper cost me $3.99, $4.99 for this massive roll. It's a pretty thick roll, and it is nice to be able to just lay this stuff down, and like these rocks that are sitting here, I can hopefully collect them back up and put them in back into the container. Now that's called cheap right there, trying to save as much as you can on the rocks, but it's me, it's what I do. So anyhow, perfect. We're gonna let that thing dry. I could put the activator on it to dry it up a little quicker, but the problem I find, at least with me when I do that, is it'll sometimes get that white bubbly look to it, and I don't want to have to deal with that. I just want it to settle in. So what I'll do is I will sand this once it's dry, and then if I need to, I'll add a little more CA to build it up. And I do have some thicker CA than what you just saw there. This was called medium. I do have a very thick one that I'll try next. So all right, we'll be back once this thing is dry. Okay, so here we go. The careful. We have the CA glue is dry. It's been about a half an hour, 45 minutes. I've let that dry. I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to sand this down around it so I don't damage anything in here. But I'm going to go ahead and turn on my dust collection and let's watch. All right, it is now time for the all-time favorite, hand sanding. I'm going to go ahead and get this sanded down to probably 220, 3 something. I'm not sure yet, but I do want it super smooth. I want this to be nice and shiny once I put my my finish on there, my wax. So I'm going to go ahead and sand. Get the I kind of rounded the corners just a little bit. I want to make sure I get this cleaned up in here. I want the whole thing really super smooth to the touch. It just feels better, and if it feels better, it really does look better. So let me go ahead and get sanded. I think that thing turned out super cool. Pretty shiny. It's a nice polish on there. Looks really good. Feels super smooth. Wow. Very excited about that one.